Before we begin this review, I'd like to do a little experiment. A taste experiment. On the one hand, you've got something nice and sweet. Why did I say something? I'm not American. Oh, praise the Holy Trinity for antioxidants. Now we got this stuff that I like to have from grapevine. It's called grape tree. Why do I keep calling it grapevine? Anyway. Protein wrapped by dark chocolate. Good for the heart. Almost done. Now. Let us combine. Combine that with different types of herbal tea, which also has cinnamon and ginger in it. I will admit, it might have been a bit of a stretch, but I just love combining flavors and stuff like that together. That might be an accurate representation of what Disney Pixar's Ratatouille is. Take it with a grain of salt. Welcome to ScotsThinker Suggestions. We are going to be reviewing Disney Pixar's Ratatouille, suggested by Double A himself. Many of you are very much familiar with one of Pixar's most classic films, Ratatouille, directed by one of Pixar's greatest directors, Brad Bird. Yeah! Funny, last time I almost accidentally said Brad Pitt. So, Ratatouille is set in France. The establishment of this series is focusing on the world of fine dining and culinary success. The most successful French chef in the world, at least in the story of Ratatouille, is Chef Gusteau, who managed to run a 5-star restaurant in Paris, France. Unfortunately, his popular reputation was cut off short after a particularly harsh review from critic Anton Ego. Meanwhile, somewhere else in France, there's an aspiring fan, a very unlikely aspiring fan, who is... Fan. Say fan. Fan! A very unlikely fan is admiring Gusteau from afar via television. That fan is a rat named Remy. Remy the rat lives in a very dog-eat-dog survival of the fittest kind of family. In that, his family don't care what they eat or put in their gobs and stomachs. They don't care if it's unhygienic or healthy. As long as they get in their gob and survive. Oh, and preferably not eat anything poisonous.
Of course!
I mean, it's one thing to survive, but is this really all that life has to offer, Remy says to himself? You see, unlike the other rats, Remy has a very powerful sense of smell, and he has a passion for taste. So as such, he is gravitated towards Gusteau's form of fine dining that he notices on the television while sneaking into the owner's house. And Remy just starts to experiment around with food and what kind of flavors he could combine, and Remy starts to think independently for himself, wondering about the capacity of human beings and how they don't just survive, they learn, they discover, they create. I'm directly quoting the film, but you get the idea. Pardon me. Every time I record, I either burp or fart. Why does this always happen? Anyway, one day Remy gets a bit carried away with the experimentation. The owner finds out about Rene. Now I'm talking about allo. Rene! What are you doing serving that cooking with the rat? You stupid woman! Can you not see this rat has a gift with a sense of smell? But the owner of the home finds out where the rats all are, forcing the rat family to flee. Unfortunately, Remy lags behind and ends up getting lost in the tunnels, but as fate would have it, Remy finds himself within Paris, France itself, where he happens to find Gusteau's restaurant. However, due to Anton Ego's harsh critique, making it lose 1 star, as well as Gusteau himself dying of heartbreak from said review, making the restaurant lose another star, much of the staff, as much as they are making some fine quality food, the restaurant is just not the same as it used to be. It's not quite in the golden age period that it used to be. Regardless, Remy is enthusiastic to finally get to see Gusteau's kitchen in action. And wouldn't you know it, Remy happens to come across Gusteau's kitchen just in time when an underdog newcomer comes in for a new job in Gusteau's. Is it any fine culinary dining kind of job this newcomer has? No, it's literally just being the garbage boy. Aww. This garbage boy is Linguini. No, not the pasta dish, his name is Linguini. That's an interesting name. Wonder who named him after pasta. That must have been in a pretty tasty mood. Linguini is not having a good first day on the job. He's a rather clumsy fella. In fact, he spills a soup that was needed for a food critic, but Remy jumps in and not only fixes the soup, but actually improves it. And Linguini was there to see the whole thing. As the rest of the kitchen staff encourage Linguini to throw Remy away into the river before the restaurant closes down due to rat infestation, as Linguini is doing the deed, Linguini finds out that Remy's much more intelligent than your average rat. In fact, Remy actually understands what Linguini is saying, and both of them come to terms to understanding that they're both underdogs trying to live in Paris, France. And so, over a series of events, they decide to work together, with Linguini acting as a human host that makes Remy sound like a parasite. Due to Linguini becoming more successful inadvertently through Remy's cooking, the two of them work together. Remy controls Linguini's head via pulling his hair to guide Linguini on how to cook, and as it turns out, Remy and Linguini provide a new golden age for the restaurant, causing the attention of Anton Ego to stir up. Will Remy and Linguini cook something up that will impress Anton Ego once and for all? Will Remy's career skyrocket to culinary fame and glory despite being a rat? Well, those of you who've seen the film already know. And it's a classic film. You really need to watch it if you haven't already. This is one of those films that I can happily say I find little to no fault with. It's paced brilliantly, it's a wee bit long for the standards of an animated film, and it certainly provides something different, something new. And it provides a fascinating insight into the world of culinary dining. In fact, they actually got Jamie Oliver to be a food inspector, which is quite hilarious. There's some great acting, great casting. If I could find fault with this film, it's that there are a few flaws with this film, but thankfully, these flaws don't ruin the movie. If I could find fault with this film, it's that the relationship between Linguini and Colette is a bit of a stretch, to be honest. There should have been more scenes with them forming chemistry together, if I'm to be honest. I don't think there has been much chemistry between this self-imposedly pathetic underdog and this highly professional chef. There must be something outside of their work that would have brought them together. Or maybe some love of food that would have brought them together. You know, something. I just want it to be developed outside of their work in Gusteau's. I think their relationship could have been improved. There's other fascinating side characters in the kitchen. There should have been more focus on them. Of course, I think many of these issues could have been fixed if they had just, taken the time to expand some scenes and make the film a bit longer. That would have been great if you ask me. Some may say that the villain Skinner can be a bit boring, but I don't think so. The actor portraying him, who's the same actor who portrayed Bilbo Baggins, by the way, gives a very lively performance for this villainous character. And so it makes him very entertaining, if you ask me. And I suppose if you were to really scrape the bottom of the barrel when it comes to critiques, Remy pulling Linguini's hair to marionette him in order to cook might be a bit of a stretch, but this film's a comedy, so it's a pretty funny reason as to how Remy is able to cook all that food with Linguini, so I'd give that a pass, to be fair. I love how the film is a family film, and yet it provides some thought-provoking ideas, and you get a taste of it as a child, but when you watch it when you're older, what's being philosophically said becomes much more profound. You see Remy challenge his father's ideas about this dog-eat-dog kind of worldview, and how Remy can find a way to reconcile with the humans, even though he himself is a rat. There's other deep ideas at play here. The implications of anyone can cook, and of course, as Double A has brought up time and time again, Anton Ego's speech after eating the meal that Remy provides for him. If you haven't seen it, I'm probably not gonna give it away. It's quite unique and charming. But needless to say, Anton Ego's speech for his review of the meal he ate is so deeply profound. I'd say it's up there with Charlie Chapman's Great Dictator speech or Mel Gibson's William Wallace speech. It's just one of the great movie speeches of all time. What Anton Ego says not only applies to the context of culinary profession within the film itself, but it also applies to any kind of creative artist and even people like me who does reviewing for a living. Well, or in spare time in this case. It's a kind of speech which is kind of brutally honest about how we go about approaching reviewing stuff, how there's kind of this enjoyment in degrading media we consider to be lesser. But at the end of the day, we do reviewing, not at least the best kind of reviewers do reviewing not because we want to keep on scolding people all the time, but because we actually want to bring out the best in creative arts. We want people to be at their best, and we have seen beauty at its fullest potential and capacity, and we want to spread that kind of thing, to teach people about it, to encourage people to strive for that standard of beauty. That's why we need people who do reviews. That's why we need people who do criticizing correctly. It's just such a great speech. You just need to listen to it for yourself. It really elevates the movie to new heights. I mean, it's already a great film, but that speech just elevates the film to new heights. Other things I love about the film, just the sheer dedication to the culinary dining. The characters are very likable, even the ones that don't get that much screen time. Like, the sous chef is pretty hilarious for what little screen time he has. The characters certainly make their mark. The music is great, the pacing is great. Brad Bird's sense of directing with 3-point references per shot is absolutely great. The animation still holds up a lot. It's just a great film to get you in the mood for dining. If there was anything I could find fault with the movie, and to be honest, this is really scraping the bottom of the barrel when it comes to trying to find critiques. I might as well ask, how did Remy learn the English language? Well, I mean, he must have learned from some kind of dictionary or something like that. Yeah, I'm really nitpicking. There's very few things I can find fault with this movie. I would give this film an 11 out of 12 happily. Bon appetit. Go watch it. It's probably one of the best, and arguably the best cooking-themed movie you'll ever see in your life. Maybe. Although, I guess that's up for conversation in the comments down below. Although, before I close off this video, I was reading this book. There was just something else in regards to the themes at play here that I wanted to perhaps read out. Where was it? Ratatouille is all about passion, purpose, and pest control, according to this book. Ego's words are the words of a converted man. Words of a converted man, according to this book. Makes you think, doesn't it? ScotsThinker signing out. Bon appetit! The relationship between Linguini and the female chef, I'm pretty sure her name was Colette, I think? Wait, hang on a minute. It was Colette, yeah.